Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at Moollama. Moollama, that's terrible, isn't it? Well, Moodle plus Ollama. And maybe that's, whole trademark things. But anyway, we're going to take a Moodle instance and we're going to plug in an Ollama instance. Why? Because AI is here. It is the way of the future. And who wants to go and pay OpenAI or Azure or some other big corporate interest to run your own AI, while all the time they're just going to be taking that data and analyzing it and making themselves richer in terms of money and in terms of data. Yuck. What I want to do is I want to collect my own data maybe, or just hold it to myself so that my students' data does not actually go out into the big bad world of the internet. So let's fire up our own Moodle and fire up our own Ollama AI. So let's see, what have I got now? I'm going to shrink myself down and bring up the test Moodle. So I've got myself a basic test Moodle that I usually have. It has nothing installed on it at the moment. I open it up and the first user tour pops up and everything like that. So you can see that this is a nothing up my sleeves. This is just a straight out first instance of freshly installed instance of Moodle 4.5. Now Moodle 4.5 comes with this AI section where you can set providers and then you can set placements. Providers is where you set the connections to the AI services. And in this case, we're going to use our own server. And below that is AI placements, and that's where the AI's providers' services should be made available in the Moodle. So, for example, in the text editor for when you want to do text generation. Now, today we're going to be setting up a Ollama server, so we're going to use the OpenAI API provider. Now, you might notice that this is OpenAI API. And that doesn't actually mean you have to use OpenAI. You can use whatever provider you like as long as it uses the OpenAI API, which is just a protocol for how Moodle can talk to that server. And so we're going to be using that provider with Ollama because Ollama comes with OpenAI API compatibility out of the box. So let's fire it up. So I've got my Moodle set up there, but what I really need to do is first I need to actually set up an Ollama server. And so I've just fired up a second Vagrant here. It's exactly the same. It's just a Debian 12. So if I do, let's see, LSB, Debian has LSB release, doesn't it? Yeah, -A. And you can see I've just got a fresh install of Debian Linux 12. It's just running in a Vagrant box, so nothing special about it. In this case, it doesn't actually even have a GPU. Now, if you do have a GPU, good for you, because that's going to work a lot better. But I don't have a GPU in my Vagrant box. But if you do, you're going to want to install the GPU drivers first before you actually do the next step. Now, unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate that right now. But yeah, if you did have one, then you could. We're going to be doing it on, really threadbare here, so we're just going to be no GPU, and we're going to be installing, say, Tiny Llama, a really small LLM to actually do it. So just to look at how we actually get by with that sort of stuff. So Ollama itself is this system here, and it's really, you go to ollama.com, link in the description below, and here you can see that there is just get up and running with large language models. If you click on the download thing, it gives you a nice friendly link here, a friendly command here that you can use to install Llama on your very own server. And there's even install instructions, but really it's just run this command and you're off to the races. So I'm just going to copy that command there, and I'm going to install it into my Ollama instance here. So here we go. I'm going to do that, and it's Debian install. Curl is not installed out of the box, so I'm going to have to sudo apt install curl first, curl. And that is going to install curl for me, and now I can go to run my curl script, and boom, it'll just install everything for me. And you can see now it's downloading and it will install. And as you can see, it doesn't actually take very long, although with your internet connection, that time may vary. I'll pause for a second here. Okay, and bang, it has just completed. It took very few seconds after I paused. But here we go, we're recording again. So now you can see that it's created, and you can see this bottom line here, no NVIDIA AMD GPU detected. Ollama will run in CPU only mode. And that's okay for today, but as I said, if you have your driver installed and you have a GPU, it will actually detect it and just start using it straight away out of the box. It's beautiful how simple this is. And that's it, the Ollama server is installed, but we currently don't have any models in there. Now, on the Ollama page, if we go back here again, we can see on the models page, there's a whole long list of models. There's, like some of them you probably already heard of, Mistral, maybe Llama 3, that's a one from Meta. These are open source though. These are, you download them, you run them on your own machine, on your own hardware. You're not actually, even though this one's from Llama 2 and Llama 3 is from Meta. This one, for example, is one that I like to run. It's 8 billion parameter or 70 billion parameter one. Pretty strong model, and you can run it on your own hardware. You don't have to. After I download it, install it on my own Ollama server, it sends nothing back to Meta. Yeah, Zuckerberg does not know what I'm doing with his Llama. Yeah, so anyway, I can get out of that one because I'm not actually going to use that one. I don't have a GPU, so I'm going to use this one, Tiny Llama. It's a 1.1 billion parameter model, means it's really, really small. And the size here does actually matter, because what this means is this one will sound human and everything like that. It'll sound pretty good, but it's not going to perform very well. If I ask it some factual information, it will make stuff up. It will hallucinate left, right, and center. In this case, that's fine. It's part of the fun. All right. So you have a bunch of models. The main idea is choose the models that you want, and then install them as per your needs. Right. Right now, I need a small one, so I'm going with Tiny Llama. So how do you install that? Well, we go back to our freshly installed Ollama here, and we can go Ollama pull, and then the name of the model, in this case, Tiny Llama. And that's it. It will download it. It'll pull that manifest, it will download it, and you can see how small this is. This model's only 637 megabytes. Yeah, a few other files as well, but they're only tiny. 637 megabytes, and now I've got it. I have my own functioning Ollama AI server. Seriously, watch this. Ollama run, and we have to tell it that we want it to run Tiny Llama. I've already Tiny Llama. No. That's a spello. No. Yeah, file does not exist. Yeah, I know that because I made a typo. All right, now I've got a prompt that says send a message. So if I send it a message, what is Moodle? Why not? And it'll say some stuff. Moodle is an open cloud to manage online courses. That seems pretty on the money, doesn't it, actually? This didn't actually Google it or anything like this. This literally is running inside of the actual Vagrant box that I've got open right now. This is running on my own machine. Cool, huh? All right. So let's plug this thing into a Moodle. That's what we want to do, really. Oh, Control D. Sorry, another typo. Typo on the exit. All right. Anyway, Control D to exit out of that. Now, the next thing that we've got to do is, by default, Ollama only listens on localhost. So I can connect to this Ollama through the exact same server it's running on, but I can't connect to it from another external server. Now that would be fine if we wanted to run Moodle and Ollama on the exact same server. Don't want to do that, because when Ollama's being taxing all the CPU resources and everything, that's going to be a denial of service attack on everyone running the Moodle. So what we want to do is have them on separate servers. So we've got to tell Ollama, please listen when the other server connects to you. When the Moodle connects to you, don't just give it the cold shoulder, accept that connection. And so here's how we're going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to edit the systemd service, because Ollama is actually running as a systemd server. Oh, there's no htop. Okay, ps-e grep Ollama. So you can see that it's actually running as a server. Basically, it's always running in the background, and it's listening for connections and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit that service. We're going to do systemctl edit ollama.service, and that will give us this file here where we can add configuration. Now you add configuration between in the gap at the top of the file. That's where you want to add this configuration. And what we want to do is we want to add service environment variables. So we're going to add this stuff here. Service, we're going to create a service section. We'll say in that section we want to add the configuration of environment Ollama host 0000. And this just basically means listen on all IPv4. It doesn't just doesn't lock it down to 127.0.0.1, which would be locking it down to localhost only. So this way, this is going to be accessible from the outside. So we save that and we exit that, and boom, we've got an edited service. But we still need to reload that daemon. We need to reload the services. So we're going to use this command to do that. Sudo systemctl daemon reload. This reloads what the system D files have been changed. So update that. It's sort of like, refreshing your Nginx afterwards. But actually what's a little bit more like that is now that the daemons have all been reloaded, we have to restart the actual service itself. Systemctl restart ollama.service, and it's configured. And that's literally all you have to do to set up your Ollama with ready to accept connections from our Moodle. So if I just pull this out of the way now we should be able to pretty soon come in here and start configuring this. But first, before we do, let's just double check, make sure that it is running. So I'm just going to prepare here a Moodle. I'm just going to log into a terminal on the Moodle Vagrant. All right, I've got that now. I'll bring it onto the main screen. Here we go. So now I'm on the main screen here, and what I want to do is give it a curl argument, right? So I'm going to just throw in this curl here. So this is just a curl command here that is passing some data to it, going to the Ollama API. This is not actually the OpenAI API. This is Ollama specific, and future versions of Moodle will apparently support it. Work in progress at the moment. We're going to use the model TinyLlama, and we're going to prompt, what is a square? Well, why not? Let's ask it. Oh, no curl again. Okay, sudo apt, because this is another fresh install of Debian. Install curl. Because I want to install my curl, get my curls happening. Okay, what is a square? Let's see. Do we have a connection? Yes, we do. So that is a whole response coming through, right? So that's actually, these are the tokens being generated by TinyLlama. If I spread that out and open that up, you can see that these are, each one of these is a response of a token of the next token along. So for even numbers and prompt done, etc., etc. This is just saying what the next things are, even number of sides and blah, 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 blah. So whatever that response was, that's it coming through. This is how it actually gets fed back to a system that's requesting an AI do something. So we've got our connection. It is connecting to the Moodle. No problem. We love it. Okay, so we know that we can connect from our Moodle server to our Ollama. We've checked that. Right, great. So next what we want to do is get out of that command line and configure the Moodle itself to do it. First of all, let's go into the OpenAI API provider. Let's switch that switch on. Switch on. That's the main switch. Boom. We've done it. We're going to come in here and we're going to come down here to generate text, generate image, or summarize text. These are the actions that the Ollama API provider can do. So we're going to disable the generate image one because Ollama doesn't actually support that at all. And we're going to go to our settings to set up the other ones. And the AI model, we don't want GPT-4.0, we want TinyLlama. That's the model that we chose to use, so we've got to configure that here. Now here in this next section here, we do not actually want to have API.openai.com. Yuck, who wants that? That is not where my server is running. My server is running on 192.168.56.11. Right, so that's it configured there. Now the thing is that mine is actually running on a local server on my local LAN, so I'm going to actually have to allow the Moodle later on. Next step, I'll allow it to actually do that. But it's also not running on port 80 or port 443, it's running on port 11434. Now in production, you would probably actually want to have it running over HTTPS from server to server, and you probably want to have something like Nginx or Traffic to actually pass that on as a reverse proxy, passing that on to the Ollama server that's actually only really operating on localhost. This is just one way of doing it, but there are a couple of different ways, and they have varying levels of security and protections. Protect yourself. Take the security serious when it comes to APIs and things like that. Otherwise, you're in for a really bad time. Anyway, right now we're doing it local install on Vagrants. It's a private network. No one from outside, not even the other computer over there, can see this. So, caution to the wind, essentially. But be careful if you're actually using this in production. All right, going to save that. Boom, that's saved. Great. Now we're going to come to we're going to go back, and we're going to go back into providers, back into settings. I wish I had a breadcrumb. Back into summarize text this time, and we're going to do the same thing for the summarize text API. So we're just going to put in my 192.168.56.11.11434. And by the way, this is, you might say, why that port? That's a weird port number. Well, if you look at it close enough, and if you are elite, you might be able to recognize that as leet speak. That's a spelling of L-L-A-M-A, right? Llama. It's llama, and that's how you can remember it fairly easily. Because, 11434 is, yeah, llama. I kind of love the sense of humor that those guys must have had when they were building this. And our model is tiny llama, so I'm going to change those two things. Here's the system instruction. This is like a prompt before the prompt. So you can change this around. I would actually suggest that maybe you do want to change this system instruction, because one of the things that I found in particular with the summarize text API, I wasn't actually able yet. I've tried it a few times, and one of the things was I wasn't able to get it to change. When I changed the language into Japanese, it didn't change the language of the summary. So maybe you want to actually add, some sort of a little bit to this system instruction that says, provide ensure the summary is easy to read and in the language of the user. So maybe that's something you might want to do. I'm not exactly sure. I don't exactly remember how to grab the user language, but if you can put that in there, that'd be pretty cool. All right, changes saved. I'm gonna have a sip of water. Oh yeah, water. Okay, so I've saved those. My Ollama is configured now, right? Right? So now I should be able to go to placements, and I should be able to switch these placements on. The course assistance placement, that allows it to summarize pieces of the course. So we'll switch that one on. And the text editor, we want it in the text editor, so we can say, hey, Ollama, create a course introduction or something for us. And we'll be able to cheat in terms of building our course. So let's switch that one on as well. Let's have a quick look at the settings though. All right. So the generate image one, we know that that's not going to work because we don't actually have an AI provider that is configured for this action. We know we don't. But this one we do. We've got an API configured, don't we? And this is actually where I ran into a lot of trouble the first time I tried to do this. Because I was searching all over. I was like, I've configured it. What am I doing wrong? Oh, and get all imposter syndrome on it. And you're just like, I don't know anything at all. And yeah, actually, there's a trick. And here's the trick. Okay? So you go to AI providers here. You've switched on your OpenAI AI provider. And you don't have an API key because, hey, OpenAI, what's that? We're not doing that. We're doing Ollama. But you need to have an API key. And so I'm like, I don't got an API key. So what you can do in here is you just click and you put in anything in here. So I'm going to make it visible even. I'm going to even show you that I'm putting in absolutely anything. Ollama dash my llama. Llama. Ollama my llama. Okay, beautiful. Now we've got an API key. Take that. Yeah, and actually you have to save that. All right, why does it need it? I don't know, but it needs it. Anyway, so that's how you actually switch it on. If we now go back to the AI placements and look in the settings here, now we can see it's all happy. It's happy to go. But there's one more thing that we've got to do because we're on the local network. And that is we've got to enable the curl. Right? You see, by default, Moodle security prevents you from using your Moodle to do curly stuff, send out requests to other devices on the same local network. And so we have to actually disable that security feature. Well, a little bit anyway. So here we go, HTTP security. In the site administration, scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the security section, HTTP security. Go in here. And you can see this is the one that we're after. This is CIDR notation, and this basically says any IP address starting with 192.168. Well, hang on, that's a problem because my Ollama server is 192.168.56.11. Problem there. So we're just going to delete this line. Now it's gone. Now my Moodle can actually curl to anything on the 192.168 IP address range, which typically would not actually be a good thing to do. But typically, if you're using this in production, your IP address is probably not going to be in one of the ranges that's listed here. It'll be something else on some other production server, right? So, yeah, this is what you got to be a little bit careful about there. The other thing is down here, remember our Llama is not actually running on port 443. We didn't proxy pass it or anything like that. So we're going to go straight to the API, which was 11434, right? How do I remember that? It spells out llama in late speak. All right. So now we've got that enabled. Okay, now, here's the moment where I think, have I forgotten something? I've probably forgotten something. I don't know what I've forgotten because I've forgotten it. Okay, caution to the wind. Let's go to my courses and let's create a course and let's use AI to do it. All right, so let's create a course. Boom, boom. And here we go. We're going to say Intro to AI. Right, and I'm going to just copy that and put the same thing in my course short name down here. Ooh, course summary. Yeah, and look here. This is the button. This is the AI generate text button. And it's appearing because I've got my API key in and everything. It's all there pretty. So let's do that. And the first time you click it, this is what you're going to get. Welcome to the new AI feature. This kind of feels a little bit like back in the day in the Commodore 64, and it's like, welcome to the world of friendly computing. Yeah, showing my age there. All right, anyway, this is just the first screen that talks about accuracy and things like that. It's nice to have something like this that says, hey, this might not be good. Interesting, down the bottom here, how your data is processed. Uses external large language models, LLM. If you use this feature, any information or personal data you share will be handled according to the privacy policy of those LLMs. And that's why we're doing this, because we don't want OpenAI to get their filthy hands on my users' data. So we're just going to accept this anyway, because we know that this time it's not going to them. It's staying with us. It is internally external. So just... I get a little bit weird here. All right, so anyway, I'm just going to tell this AI this time, create a course introduction for a course titled Introduction to AI in Education. You tell it what you want it to create, and it'll generate text for you. Unless I messed up somewhere. It's processing, which is good. It's generating a response, which is good. Et voila. I like this. Insert image of a young and enthusiastic instructor in front of an audience with a handwritten script. Okay. Enter stage left. Insert sound of pencils clattering on paper. Okay, it has done some really weird things here with stage directions and everything. Insert image of an aging but determined teacher with a sleeve full of text messaging handouts. I tell you, you know, hallucinations and everything like that. Aside, I mean, it is pretty good here. But Tiny Llama, seriously, you should try out Tiny Llama. It is hilarious, some of the stuff that this thing comes up with. But by the way, if you don't like that, regenerate. All right, do it again. Do it again, Tiny Llama. Do it again. And it generates the response and... applying the finishing touches. Almost done. Really? Seems like you're taking a while this time. Ooh, it took a long time to do it this time. All right, now we've got a decent... Okay, that's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to click on the insert button. It inserts it directly into my tiny MCE editor. Voila. And now it is done. And now I've got it. Skip to it. And now if I go back to my courses, for example, if I display as summary, display the summary, now I can see that Intro to AI, there's my course summary, and it's pretty long. All right, so I can now go, I'm going to copy this actually. I'm going to copy this, and let's go in and let's try out the summary action one, right? So if we go in here, that's the summary, but if I wanted a summary of a summary, right, I might actually just add an activity. I'm going to add a page resource. Page, there it is. And I'm going to just put it in here. And if I just say course outline. So let's say the summary thing is when you're actually looking at something like this. Oh, where I pasted in the description. Whoops. Okay, fine. All right, so now I've got a page icon here with the course outline, right? And if I click on that, boom, I've got this simple thing here. Well, let's say, wow, that's too long, man. I can't read all of that. Summarize. Use the AI to summarize that. You click it, and in one click, it pops out on the right-hand side here, generates a response. It reads that and summarizes it. And summarizes it. There it is. It's not the shortest summary, but okay. Anyway, this is running all on that Vagrant box that I showed you before. Okay, so this is how it's done. So there are a lot of steps actually, but none of them are actually all that difficult. There are a few parts that people often are likely to mess up the configuration, I think. Right, so if you try this and it doesn't work for you, the first one that I would suggest you check is go into API providers, make sure you've got an API key set there. It doesn't matter what it is, you just have to have it, right? It's just got to be there. Ollama, my llama, you got to be in there. The rest of that is kind of junky. The other thing is in your API endpoint, if you have a specific port that you need to connect on, make sure that you add the colon and the port thereafter. Make sure that that's in place. And also, after that, it's almost certainly going to be v1/chat/completions. This has to be in there. All right. I know that the Ollama API is /API/generate, but this is not the Ollama API. This is the OpenAI API. Running Ollama, right? Connecting to Ollama. So we've got to use the OpenAI style API endpoint. Okay, and the other thing that I would say is very often likely to occur is a problem troubleshooting it. The other thing that I would say is probably, if you set it up, all that is good, and it's still not working, it's going to be the HTTP security here. You're going to either have your address on the blocked host somewhere in here, or you're going to have this the port that you're using to access it is not on the curl allowed ports list. So make sure you get all those things in a row, and as long as you got all those ducks in a row, it should work fine. And finally, I would just say, if you before doing the Moodle one, I would absolutely recommend doing what I did at the very first part, which was asking what is a square using the Ollama API here, just to make sure your connections, just to make sure that the servers themselves can talk to each other. Because the servers, if they can't talk to each other, the Moodle's got no chance in hell of connecting to your Ollama API server, right? They got to be able to network first before any of these settings inside of Moodle can take place. So that's it. That is how you configure an Ollama server to run with Moodle. Thank you very much for watching. Tell your friends, like and subscribe, and maybe if you get it running, just leave me a little comment and say, hey, this was great, thank you very much, it helped. Or if it doesn't and it just causes you endless frustration, feel free to rage away. Look forward to the next video. And also I'm going to be looking forward to the Ollama API getting support in Moodle. Moodle actually has, in their documentation in a few different places, they've actually said Ollama API is the de facto standard. It's the de facto, it's like the world standard, the global standard for it. Only because people like us use it. That's why it's the standard. Let's fight against that. Let's bring Ollama up, API/generate. It's a better endpoint anyway. Come on, let's use Ollama. Make Ollama great again. Okay, all right. At that, I don't want to get political. I'm out of here. See you later. Thanks.